Hey guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Pat O.
Pat. Oh, how was your weekend?
My weekend was fan-fucking-tastic. This was the 1 year anniversary of my open heart surgery. So
Yay!
December 3rd, yeah. And I'm uh, done talking about it. I'm done thinking about it. I'm done being asked about it. I know I'm bringing it up, which I probably could have not done, and it would have been even more dead. But we don't really work. We don't really operate like that, do we? No, we don't. Not here. Not here on the Wednesdays. We talk weird show. We like talking about things that we don't want to talk about. But no, it's just like that was a huge deal, part of my life. But it's like, I mean, I don't want to say things are back to normal, but things are reached a level point, I guess. And it's just like it's over. It's behind me, And I think that was. Although doing this week's episode was a little triggering, I will say
I
that,
bet.
especially when we get into the kidneys, because as fans of the show remember, my kidneys gave me a little bit of a hard time getting back online. They weren't getting with the program right away, so I delved feet first into the wonderful world of kidney failure, and yeah, that was an eye opener. But it was kind. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's like getting a DUI. Like it's a big deal for 6 months, and then it's not. You get your license back, and everything's normal again. You know. So that was it. That was that was like the overhanging specter of this weekend. You know.
So you just celebrated the fact that you did it?
Yeah, I mean Friday, friend of the show Mike Vanderbilt had his KFC and champagne party.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I thought it was going to be an orgy, to be honest with you. Like when he called me up, he was like, "Dude, I'm having a KFC and champagne party." I was like, "Right." And then I showed up there, and it was literally like a KFC and champagne party. And I was like, "Okay." Like I wore my snap away pants, you know. Like I thought that was code. I thought he was throwing me like a 1 year like welcome back anniversary, like because it was the night before. December 3rd was like my surgery date. So when he was like, "Yeah, we're doing this thing on December 2nd," I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a surprise party. This is gonna get weird," and it didn't. It was normal, you know. Um, but no, it
Is
was
a
a good.
KFC and champagne party normal?
I guess in Japan it is. I guess it's a very big thing in Asian countries where KFC is like a staple part of their diet. You know what I mean?
It's their Christmas dinner.
Yeah. So that was kind of the theme of it. So we ate a lot of KFC, drank a lot of booze. It was a good time. Um,
Are you a white meat man or a dark meat man?
I got strips. I don't fuck with bones. I ain't trying to eat bones at a party in front of people. You know what I mean?
True.
Just got the
True.
strips with the buffalo ranch sauce. It was pretty good.
Strips are white meat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't discern. My genitals are like the UN. You know what I mean? They'll house anybody as long as
I didn't know that you ate chicken with your genitals, Pato. That's something we should put up on the Patreon.
well, there you go. Um, so there was that. What else did I do this weekend? Okay. So here's something we saw. I took my kid to see Violent Night on Saturday.
Yeah, how was that?
It was awesome.
Good.
I don't want to hype it up because I feel like it's getting a lot of hype
I
on,
agree.
and it. Let's not forget, like this is a shitty movie. It's a killer Santa movie, but it's not like So don't expect Schindler's List, but it's not exactly like the Toxic Avenger either. Like it's good and it's entertaining, but I think it's getting a little bit too much praise where people are forgetting. Like let's not forget, like it's a killer Santa movie written by the people that did Sonic the Hedgehog movies. You know what I mean? Like it's all right, and we had a good time with it. But I don't want to overhype it because I feel like it's kind of reaching that point. And then, yeah, and then the other thing I did this weekend is I shaved my pubes.
Okay. Oh, did you?
Yes,
Wow.
in anticipation for Friday night's party. Uh, I had to do my beard anyway. Like I had to line up my beard again, and I was like, okay, let's do the manscaping thing down here. And it was successful. I don't know how you really rate that kind of experience, you know?
So, hold on, Pato. You're not gonna shave your face with the same razor you shaved your pubes with, are you?
Are you not supposed to do that?
No.
Yeah, well,
No.
it's an electric razor.
No, that doesn't matter.
Why?
That's gross.
No, I don't have cooties. What is it? I don't think
Oh
it's
my
that
god.
gross.
That's weird.
I mean, no. Like, I guess. I mean, I did my face first.
Oh my god.
It's not like I went from my crotch to my face. I went from my face to my crotch.
We're gonna do a Twitter poll.
Well, sure. But use promo code Stay Weird to get 20% off at manscaped.com.
You can shave your face and your pubes like Pato.
Yeah.
And with Manscaped's awesome line of wonderful products. It reminds me of a story. You were talking about shaving for the party, and we had one girl, and that we used to hang out with. I don't even remember her name, doesn't matter. Anyway, she was like a big old lesbian, except for when she got drunk, and she would want to fuck everybody. And it was like, we had like the lesbian friend, and that was her, and then we had the gay friend, and that was one of our other friends. And anyway, specifically, she would always try to like have sex with the gay friend, and I don't know. Anyway, one night she was real disappointed. She like got really upset. She's like, I shaved for this, and that should be a T-shirt.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that on Friday night. I'll be like, oh.
It's some disappointment, right? You're like, damn, I don't even get to use my clean shaven genitals.
I know. I had my snap away pants. I was wearing my yellow I got pegged at Cracker Barrel shirt.
Oh yeah.
It's got the little triangle game that they have at Cracker Barrels.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, let's do it. And nothing. I got drunk with Mike's sister. He'd sang Green Day songs in the kitchen.
You should have showed her your cleanly shaved genitals with Manscaped.
I would not. There's some people I have too much respect for, or like they never have to look at it. Like that's their, you know what I mean? Like
not your wife, but some people.
Yeah. Never subject her to that. Poor thing.
Yeah, so this is we're definitely closing in the home run of the Manscaped deal. So like you guys need to buy these products. You need to buy these products so that they know that we are awesome and that they want to continue to work with us in the future. So get your holiday shopping. I bought some holiday items from Manscaped. It's not just about shaving your balls. They got all kinds of shit. You got lip balm and body wash, and
there's lots of shit that you can get using promo code Stay Weird for 20% off.
Yeah. That I was talking about that before Pato made me edit this part out because his his washing machine repairman called him in the middle of the recording. So,
hey, what can I say? My wife needs a little bit of an adjustment. You know what I mean? Like, I got someone coming over to straighten her out.
Well, at least you shaved, Pato. At least you're ready.
Oh, I haven't told her yet. She doesn't know. It's a surprise. She'll be surprised when she hears this podcast. She'll be like, "Oh,
Merry Christmas!"
All right.
Anyway, well, great. That's all. Those are all great things.
Sure. How was your weekend?
Yeah, no, it was a weekend. Life is just weird right now. I don't live in like the real world at the moment, so forgive me for that. But I've been doing some things. I've been doing some stuff. I watched the people are going to have mixed feelings about this, but I'm going to tell you about it. I tried to catch up on the real world, that just because I fucking had no idea what was going on, man. I took a peek over at Twitter. I was like, what in the fuck is happening over here? And then I left. No, I mean, I'm still on Twitter, but I'm not interested. I don't want to politic. I got other things going on. I'm busy. But again, I checked out the that Casey Anthony documentary thing, and
okay,
I've seen people online now are like, well, I don't think Casey Anthony killed her kid. And let me tell you something. That bitch is a pathological liar. Okay, she's a pathological liar. Whether or not her father had anything to do with her child's disappearance or murder, whatever, it doesn't matter. She was also involved. She's still very guilty. She should be rotting in prison for the rest of her life. And that's my stance on it. And that's really all I'm going to say about it. It's on our list of episodes. I'd like to cover it eventually just because it's probably... Casey Anthony is probably the most hated woman in the entire country. So, I mean, I would like to talk about just how the criminal justice system can very much fail, even, when everybody's like, she's absolutely guilty. And I think that that's a great example of it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, don't watch it. Again, a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to give my money to her because honestly, she probably did make a lot of fucking money on this. She's never done a documentary before. This is the most in depth she's talked about this case since she was found not guilty. And yeah, don't watch it because all she says is that she still didn't do it, and we know that that's not true. So that's what I got to say about that. That's pretty much
So
it. Oh, go ahead.
pretend that I don't follow anything true crime. I just texted you a picture of her. She's got crazy girl eyes. Like
Okay.
that's a crazy girl right there. I don't know anything about the case or anything, but I can tell you right
You don't
now,
know anything about the
when
Casey
when I
Anthony
see a chick with
situation?
eyes like that, she's pulling the condom off halfway through
That
and
blows my
scissoring
mind.
her fucking ankle, locking her ankles behind you. I'll tell you that.
It
Uh,
blows my mind that you don't know anything about this
was
case.
she the kids were in the backseat of the car and it went into the river and she tried to say that someone stole the car?
No. No, her daughter went missing and nobody reported it. She didn't report it for like a month. And then she said the last time she saw her, she left her with the nanny. There was no nanny. She like lied about her job. There was no job. I mean, and then she walked away not guilty, even though there was a mountain of evidence.
And why was she not guilty? What
Um,
was the rationale behind that?
they couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah, if they don't have a body or murder weapon, they kind of can't have to let you go,
Well,
right?
they had the body.
So where'd they find it?
The
The
body
kid.
was found in just in a field, not very far away from her parents' house. But it was very badly decomposed.
Uh,
There's a lot to it, but we're not gonna we're
yeah,
not gonna hit it in an intro.
and this documentary, is it pro her or why are people?
It's not really pro her. It's so like again, okay, Casey Anthony is guilty. All right, everybody knows that she is guilty. This was next to this is what I'm saying. I'm shocked you don't really know about this. Next to the O.J. Simpson case, this is the largest true crime case out there, the most watched true crime case out there, and and then she was found not guilty. Again, very much to the surprise of everybody, as with the OJ case. So they came out. So Peacock did this limited series documentary, and it's Casey Anthony sharing her side of the story,
Okay,
and
you know what? I'll
that's it.
watch it, and then we should do an episode on it because I'm kind of fresh to this. So this feels like a good opportunity for me to watch that documentary and have that be kind of my first. And I'm sure my wife knows all about it because she loves true crime shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Have this be your introduction into it, and then we'll, like I said, get into the details at a later date. But yeah, it was not good. She doesn't admit to killing her daughter or anything, like she should, But yeah, so there's that.
yeah,
Um, But I haven't really been doing much else. Like I said, I don't really live in like reality right now, so I don't even know what the hell's going on with the world. I don't even know. Clue me in, people. What the fuck's happening? Um, that's it, really. That's all I got.
okay,
You want to talk about some news?
let's get to it.
Let me see what I got for the news. I think the only thing that I have is this thing that you brought up, Pato. It is this cattle mutilation situation. So in Colorado, they've had some mysterious cattle mutilations pop up. Colorado isn't a stranger to cattle mutilation cases. In fact, it's one of the top places that this phenomena occurs at.
Mm.
Initially, it seems that there was a cow that was attacked by a pack of wolves, and some of the other cases surrounding this, because it wasn't just the one cow. It's now I think the count is up to like 18 or something. Um, there's been like 18 separate ones that have happened in the area that don't have those same indicators of a wolf attack. Namely, it's not that it hasn't been picked apart or eaten at all. It's just that these like cows are like dying. So some things were sent off to the lab for some testing to see if maybe these cows died from some type of illness going around. They did not. So it's still a mystery. We did a whole episode on this. Pat, what do you think about it happening in Colorado?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the region that is kind of a hotbed for that activity. One of the I think Arizona was where some of the first sightings were. Was it Arizona or Nevada? But like that whole area out there, and the book that I had read, Saucer Spooks and Kooks, made the argument that cattle mutilation is tied to the EPA kind of like testing the environment for
Sure.
contaminants and stuff, and that they're really just checking the cows like lymph nodes or whatever, and they only need like a sample of the blood, but they stage these elaborate mutilation scenarios to kind of throw people off about what exactly they're looking for. And that, I mean, that kind of made sense to me because this is such a bizarre thing that happens that
Sure.
it's hard to make sense of it. And I guess that's the explanation that always worked for me. So
Well, Oregon happens to be number one in cattle mutilations. That's like
okay.
where they all come from. So it's not terribly far, from that region, but it's on the same side. Um, with this one in particular, a couple of things that I just wanted to make note is again this claim of being attacked by wolves. There aren't any native wolves in that area, so that's
Hmm.
weird. But they have been finding very large canine type footprints in that area. And that's why they assume that maybe the other ones had been also attacked by pack of wolves, coyotes, pack dogs, something in the canine realm. Um, I just kind of wanted to make a side note because I didn't want to go the entire episode and not say anything about it, and people are going to be shocked by this, but I'm going to go ahead and dedicate this portion of the episode to Linda Godfrey, who was a dogman researcher who recently passed away. Linda's written tons and tons and tons of books. I know a lot of people are very sad about her passing.
Hmm.
I never got to meet Linda, and I've never read any of her books. At all my dogman research, I have not read any of Linda's books, which is a disservice. I will do that. Um, but obviously, people are saying, of course, with these cattle mutilations, this is a dogman phenomena. One thing that has occurred over and over again with alleged dogman sightings is that they will kill these animals and then scavengers, nobody will touch it. And that does seem to be happening in this case. Whatever it is that's killing these things, other scavengers and other animals won't touch the remains. Um, I don't know why that would be.
She got her start with the cattle mutilations. She was just an actual reporter for like whatever town like the first wave of them hit in.
Yeah,
She was a local reporter covering the story, and that's what kind of, and then there was the UFO. Yeah, the UFO connection. That's what kind of led her into the paranormal, and then she started doing work with George Knapp,
yeah.
who was Art Bell's like fill-in host for Coast to Coast.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I never thought it was. I don't think it was a dogman because how do they leave that clean of a site behind? That's clean of a crime scene. You know what I mean? That doesn't make sense that
Sure.
any animal would do that. You know?
Well, this thing hadn't. At least five of the deaths they are blaming on this pack of wolves.
Right.
And so obviously then I mean I haven't seen details exactly of the gruesome details of what exactly they're looking at. But that suggests to me that in at least five of them like shit was strung around everywhere, like an animal would do. But I don't know. I'm not saying it is or isn't Dogman. I just know that that's a possible connection people might make, and just interesting how it is all happening. In the wake of Linda Godfrey's passing.
Yeah,
Strange
I mean, I guess that's interesting. Like, she died, and now they're clear to mutilate more because she's off the case. I mean, I don't know.
because nobody's talking. Yeah, nobody's telling on them. So
Sure.
but we are. We're on to you, Dogman people,
Right.
that are also somehow alien in nature or something. Um, I don't know. Um, yeah, interesting story. I haven't really seen much else happening, but again, as far as the news itself goes, I'm kind of really out of the loop. Tell me what I'm missing, you guys. Let me know.
Yeah, I got something that the majority of our fans are missing that I want to talk about
Sure.
real quick. Some hot news is that Jim Jam from the Horror Basement and Beyond is one sexy bitch, and
Ooh,
I would
that's some
not
hot
at all be
moves.
disappointed to wake up in his otter pen. Uh,
I forgot about Jim Jam's otter pen.
how can you forget it? You want to talk about one of the most fervent supporters of this show. I wanted to take a minute this week to stop and hold the mirror up to the man that is celebrates us and applauds us and is the best
Aw.
cheerleading section that we could possibly ask for. Jim, Jan, and Johnny, they have the Horror Basement Beyond. They have a TV show on Tingler Television Saturday nights. They are prolific on TikTok using the Big Bald Buddies moniker. And honestly, I long for a friendship like theirs because these guys like get to. I don't know if they work together with deals, but like every afternoon is them hanging out, like trying new like, like Mountain Dew and chips, and then being like, "These are good." Or these aren't good. You know what I mean? And I just love that. I'm like, these guys are awesome. Like, they're like, hey, let's stop at 7-Eleven and then go, create content. And I love their enthusiasm. I think they're genuinely likable, personable people. And if you're not on the Horror Basement Beyond tip, get on it and then figure out how you can fit them into your lives. Be it watching their TV show on Tingler, which I did once, and I forget what they were talking about, but they were going off on a fucking thing, and I was like, okay. Not that it was bad. It was just like, I don't know. I came into the conversation late, but the show is entertaining. The TikToks, whenever I go on TikTok, it's like, you know, we've talked about what my TikTok feed primarily is, but it's that, and then it's these two guys, and
That's Jim Jam and Johnny.
they're quite the sorbet to cleanse the palate, and we love you guys, and thank you so much for everything you do.
Wow.
So that's news.
That is news. That's some big news. Some breaking hot off the presses news right there.
Uh,
No, yeah, no, great guys. Definitely check them out. They support us, so we will support them until the end. Maybe we should start doing that though. Maybe we should start doing like appreciation shout outs.
yeah, you know what? I think that should be instead of news because I'm really bad
Viewer
about
of the
coming up with
week.
news. I'll come up with someone to give a shout out to, one of our contemporaries in the field. Did you see Aaron Dees is the new editor in chief of Paranormality magazine?
I did see that, but you can save his shout out for next week.
Well, that was your shout out. I think no, I don't think Aaron needs shout outs. I think he's doing all right. He doesn't need to get
Everybody
fluffed
needs
by
shout out.
me. Yeah, okay,
Everybody needs a fluffing.
sure.
You're never too big for a good fluff.
Yeah. What did you think of your this is kind of like, I guess, keeping with the
Okay,
news thing.
sure.
What did you think of your Instagram pictures or like the avatar things the
Oh, the
AR?
AI portraits.
Yeah.
I really like them.
I really like mine too. Did you see mine today? I posted
I
mine on
did.
Instagram.
I did.
Yeah, they're those are awesome.
It's really weird because like it's my face, but it's not my face. You know, Pat, go on my Facebook. Um, People like actually like think that these, and I don't know how people think this. Some people think that these are actually pictures of me.
Well, mine are very cartoony, but it's like
Mine are too.
but it's but it's still you. I mean, it looks like you.
Yeah,
They
it's
look
really
like you.
creepy. They look exactly like me. It's really weird, but it's not me.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
weird.
you see, here's the thing. All the girl ones that I see, like, you have very yours are good. It's funny how they get our tattoos wrong though.
Yeah, it is really funny, and like
Yeah.
I'm usually wearing my moon necklace, and it's funny because it tries to like replicate my moon necklace too.
Yeah, like mine, it gave me earrings because I have a freckle on one of my earlobes. So in some of mine, I have like gauge ears, which not that
Yeah,
I'm terribly against that, but I don't have that. And then with you, with your like tattoos, like your chest tattoos, like you could see how it kind of struggles with that.
it tries, but yeah, it doesn't. There's one where it's pretty. It is pretty accurate. I was like, oh, the other, I can tell that's a beta fish.
Yeah, I like the one where
Yeah.
you look like I'm commenting on it somewhere, but you look like fucking Scully.
Oh well, thank you.
Yeah, there's some good ones here.
Those some really good ones. Yeah, they turned out really good. And I mean, that's just, the one just I mean, there's so many. I'm like, I can't save all these and post all of them. Because then that looks really weird. But There were some that were just like nightmare fuel, and I want to post the ones that
You
are
have some
fun.
of yours look like you look like an alien. Like it gives you these crazy big anime eyes.
I love that.
No, I don't. It's weird.
I do. I really like that a lot. I am an alien. That's why.
No, I don't mind how
Um,
they inflate your hooters. And then sometimes you look like Poison Ivy. Like
Sometimes
with
I
you
do
in the
look like
fucking
poison.
woods with a wreath on your head. What the fuck is that about?
I don't know. A wreath on my head? You mean
Yeah,
a
yeah.
crown? A flower crown?
Yes, there's like a whole big batch of them that's all like I got a bunch of stuff with me as an astronaut, which I thought was cool. Like me in the
Yeah.
spacesuit.
The girls ones and the boys ones are different. I want to do the boys ones too.
I thought about doing that, about changing my gender and seeing what they would do.
Yeah, I want to do that. I'm curious what that would look like. But yeah, it's a very eerie how some of them really. I mean, it's me. It's weird.
Yeah, I saw some people doing it. I saw some people hating on it. I mean, hey, you're allowed to hate whatever you want to hate, but I don't know. I thought they were cool as fuck. I
Yeah,
always
some people really hate it. Some people do.
well, I have done enough like movie stuff where I've seen people draw like cartoon characters based on the characters that have been in movies or like whatever. Like when I was in the band with Mike, we used to do his brother's a real good artist, Andy Vanderbilt. And he would for posters or for cover art, if we put out like a 7-inch or something, he would do little animated versions of us. And like I always thought that was like the most amazing thing in the world is like looking at a cartoon version of me. Like
Yeah,
it fills me with like infinite joy and happiness. Um
yeah, it's very fun. I agree
yeah.
with that. And
So
people hate on it. They're like, "Oh, it's taken away from artists," or I've seen people claiming that it's stealing. It's straight up stealing artwork from other people. And I don't know if it is or isn't. If it is, let me know. But you gotta provide some backup. Like I've seen a lot of call outs of like, can anybody prove that this is stealing art from anybody? Because so
hey,
far nobody has.
you find me a graphic designer that I could pay $7 to that's going to crank out 50 of those fucking pictures in 10 minutes.
Right.
And I will give them my $7, right? Until then, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I hire independent artists to do all of my posters for my movies, all of the crap that we crank out, you know what I mean? All of my podcast logos and stuff like that. Don't act like I don't support the fucking arts just because I wanted to do something on my phone for $7. Like, just
Yeah.
some people just love being a fucking weapon. You know what we call them? We call them pigeons because they shit all over everything. You know what I mean? There's enough pigeons in this world. We don't need you fucking.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that was kind of the thing that like I spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars every year on my art fronts because I love them and I love what they do. And I'll still
Mhm.
continue to spend hundreds more on them. And, the people that pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars aren't taking away by spending $7 on an app. However, there are people that would have never, ever, ever spent a dime on an actual artist. They're going to go and spend $7 on this app, but they weren't going to go give you $7.
Yeah.
They weren't going to give you the 50 that you're charging for a commission. They just weren't going to do that. That's why they're spending 7 on 50 to 100 images, whatever it is. They just weren't your clientele anyway. That's just not what they are. So,
Mhm.
anyway, that's my take on it. We'll see how it progresses. If it is actually stealing artwork from people, then that is a conversation that we need to have. But until there's proof of that, we can't say one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. But you have feelings about organ trafficking, it sounds like.
uh I mean, I think I understand. This was an interesting topic because it happens from what I've seen, it happens for a lot of different reasons, and the specifics of it, the facts of the case, are not necessarily what I expected. And the more I researched this for the show and got into what's actually happening and why it's happening, it did strike a chord for me because of the time that I spent on dialysis earlier this year. Um, when I did have my open heart surgery, it was like a 12-hour surgery. And when I came out of it, my kidneys didn't work. Although I think that it was my body freaking out because I had a catheter in my dick and it just wasn't responding well to that kind of trauma. My kidneys worked well as soon as I got off everything, and it didn't take long for me to recover. But in the
Sure.
meantime, I was put on dialysis for about a month and a half, 2 months, and it was a terrible thing to have to go through. And whenever people ask me about open heart surgery and how was it and did it hurt and all this stuff in the recovery, I always tell them it would have been a fucking cakewalk if it wasn't for the dialysis. Dialysis is some of the most painful, I don't want to say dehumanizing. It's not like you're, being raped by clowns, but it's not a fucking good time. And
Jesus.
yeah, I mean, it's dark, but it's like not that, and it's very depressing. And being somebody that had to go to those, when you do dialysis, you sit in a room with about 15 other people, and you're all getting your blood cleaned out, right? And it's all people with kidney failure, and some of those people are waiting for transplants.
Oh yeah.
And I walked in there trying to get out of there as quickly as possible, but realistically, I was looking at doing this for 3 months at the maximum. And I
Hmm.
was able to bitch and moan and self advocate and get out of there in 1.5 to 2, right?
Yeah.
And that was me at my breaking point where I fucking ran for that wall and just hopped over it. As soon as I could get out of it, I did.
Sure.
It was a terrible experience. And that's why it does not surprise me that when you talk about organ trafficking, you're mostly talking about kidneys.
Well, right. There's kind of two things going on here. There's the reality of just organ transplants in general, which is fucking expensive, which is absolutely grueling, and which is sometimes straight up a life or death situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the horror aspect of it. Of we all know that story. You take that luxury vacation in Mexico, and you're out with your girlfriends, and you meet a wonderful fella or lady, and you guys have an amazing night together, and you take them back to your hotel room, and then you wake up the next morning in your bathtub full of ice with your kidney missing.
So,
How much of that is true, and how much isn't.
can we
We're
talk
gonna
about that for a second? Can we like pause there real quick? So, that is the American version of that story.
Mhm.
And the American version of that story is that way because what is the subtext of that story? Watch it. Don't go to foreign countries. Watch your drink. Be careful who you take home. Don't be promiscuous, right? Like that's all the subtext that led people in these situations.
Sure.
The third most popular country for organ trafficking is Egypt. And
Okay.
in Egypt, they have a similar urban legend, but theirs involves people going to get travel visas that are told that before they're allowed to leave the country. So you go on a job interview in Egypt and they say, "Oh, well, if you get this job, we need you to be able to travel to other countries. Do you have your visa?" Right? And they'll say, we want you to get this paperwork. You're going to have to go for a physical so you can get your travel visa." And when they go for the physical to get their travel visa, they're sedated and their organs are harvested. That's the Egyptian version of that story. Because the subtext of that urban legend is don't work for multinational corporations and don't try to leave the country. No, seriously, seriously, and that's
No,
their
you're right.
urban legend. Is
No,
like,
no, that's true.
you think you got a job interview with Coca Cola? Don't work for Coca Cola. And when you think about the Middle East in general, where you have like these Western companies coming in and trying to set up shop and do all this stuff in the face of like unrest and all this shit. I thought that was really interesting how that
Yeah.
story metamorphosed.
Yeah, I agree. But what kind of we're kind of going to close the gap in between like what's real and kind of what's not, and what the facts are, as close to the facts as we have, because the fact of the matter is that we don't really have them. So when it comes to organ transplants, again, the average wait time for an organ is anywhere between 2 to 7 years. Okay. And in that time period, a lot of people waiting on organs fucking die.
Yeah.
All right. First and foremost, if you're going to die, right, and you're going to die, all of us do, um, please be an organ donor. Just do it. You're not going to use that shit. I am 100% in support of organ donation. You should get rid of your stuff. Kidneys are the most popular thing in the trade because, well, we happen to need a lot of them, but also because we have two of them. So you could give up your kidney while you're still alive. You can't give up your heart, your lungs, your corneas, your pancreas. You can't give those things
Hmm.
until you die. So please be an organ donor. That is fantastic. Or donate your body to science. That's a good idea too. Um,
Did you ever hear an urban legend that if you want to be an organ donor, let your family know that, but don't put it on your driver's license because there's EMS people or doctors that won't work on you if they see that because they might know somebody that needs.
I have. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of
And
sounds like
so
bullshit, but I don't know.
it could. I forgot all about that. I wish I'd remembered that before because I would have researched it. But yeah, if that's true, then that very well could be another. I mean, that would be organ trafficking. So yeah, 2 to 7 year wait time. Again, people fucking die waiting on organs and never get them. And then they're also extremely, extremely costly. It's really miserable, right? Having to get organs. So, organ trafficking is in high demand, and again, the number one trade are kidneys.
Hmm.
Um, about roughly about 10% of all organ transplants are illegal. They're trafficked.
Hmm.
And then of that 10%, about 10,000 of them per year are just kidneys alone. Because you don't have to kill people for them. You could, but you don't have to,
Hmm.
you know. Not just that, you can actually find willing participants that are more than happy to sell their kidney, right? Desperate people. Most of kidney or I'm sorry, organ trafficking happens in desolate third world countries where people are desperate for money. Um, it predominantly happens. I mean, as Pato said, yeah, Egypt is a top contender, but just North and Western Africa, gr- great places to get trafficked for your organs, or buy an organ and have a transplanted. Um,
China's number one, but that might be just people shitting on China. Yep,
it
number one.
is, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna talk about China. I got some to share about China and organ trafficking. Organ trafficking and human trafficking tend to go hand in hand, which kind of makes sense. Now, we don't know if correlation is causation or what the case is with that, just because, again, it's so hush hush and so underground. There's a lot of big names in organ trafficking. Big names, and you're talking doctor. You have to have medical professionals, okay?
Hmm.
So if you're going to be an organ trafficker, you got the low men who bait the people in, right, to have their organs harvested, whether it be through their consent or not, and then you have the people that kind of run the operation. Then you have to have your medical professionals that get in on the cut. Then you have to have buyers. This is a whole big ordeal, and they are goddamn good at hiding it. Or at least so we know. So there's no real statistics. The 10% is just kind of a ballpark. We don't really know, but we do know that people just show up with organs. Um,
Right, because they have to be matched. I mean, like that's the thing that you got to
no, they
remember is
don't.
that what?
No, they don't in organ trafficking. A lot of people die from it because they're not properly matched.
Mm.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out. And that's where we're getting the numbers from. Either we have a whistleblower on these operations, or the person ends up coming into a hospital because they're fucking dying because they put in this organ and their body's rejecting it.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's an interesting tidbit. Um, but medically, yes, I mean, in order for, you can't just fucking go putting other people's body parts in your body. Like, you have to be matched to it. Your body will not take it in. But when you're desperate, when it's you and you want to live, or you're desperate and it's your child and you want your child to live,
Hmm.
a lot of people are willing to do absolutely anything to make that happen, including putting in mismatched organs because they just don't think it through. So the entire world, it is illegal to do this, except for Iran. It's not illegal to trade human organs in Iran, but everywhere else in the whole entire world, it's illegal to trade it with human organs. You're not allowed. So that's an interesting tidbit to know. See, I did a little bit of homework.
Okay. So did I, but now I'm afraid to say any of it because you're gonna fucking tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'm not.
No, I don't want to be wrong.
No, I'm not. those are just the fast facts about it that I have real quick. We'll talk about a little bit more pointed cases. Unless Pato, you had any other fast facts you wanted to throw out there?
Let me look at my notes. No,
Sure.
I have like 10 cases. Well, I think I emailed you that thing, the list first.
I
When
don't know what you're
10
talking about.
terrifying tales of organ trafficking.
If you emailed me, I probably didn't check it. Let me look.
Oh, that's okay. Um, no, it's all good. I think we covered it. Iran's bad guys, mostly kidneys. China, Pakistan, Egypt, Colombia, Philippines are the 5 hot spots.
Let's talk about China then. How about that? I said I would.
All right.
So the UN had an ongoing, still has an ongoing investigation on China for harvesting organs from prisoners. Okay. So the UN kind of stepped in because they were saying that they were taking these mostly prisoners of war, and they were, before anything, okay, this is how it goes. Before anything happens to them, they run tests on them as if they were going to transplant organs. And then they would either purposefully let the prisoners die or they would just die, and then they would illegally take their organs. Okay.
Mm.
Of course, China has denied this and said, absolutely not. That's not what's happening. Except some of the families of these people getting these bodies back are finding missing organs in them. So that's kind of weird. Again, this is an ongoing investigation. This is something that's kind of new. The UN's hoping for a whistleblower to come forward, but nobody really has. I fucking absolutely buy that China's doing this. And that's probably why they're listed as number one, is
Mm-hmm.
because they are likely harvesting organs from prisoners. That's a great way. That's fucking lucrative right there.
But who are they at war with to where they have prisoners?
I don't know Chinese politics enough to know that. I don't think it's necessarily like prisoners of war because they're at war with somebody. I think it's more like foreigners that come over that get arrested.
Yeah, that's why.
That's probably more
Uh,
correct. Because one thing that they are saying about it is that most of the time they happen to be not the Chinese people. They happen to be people of different races and different things like that they're harvesting organs from.
mm-hmm.
Because they're probably then taking those organs to that country and selling them. And I guess they assume that maybe if you have some matching, if you're black and you're a black person looking for an organ that's like a better match. I don't know. It was kind of hard to find too many details about it because the UN's like, we think this is going on there. And then China was like, no, it's not. And the UN's like, okay. And that was really kind of the end of it. But it's interesting. I didn't deep dive into it too much, just because I don't know too much about China, but I know that like we in America purposely shit on them. And I think that probably a lot of what we say about them is propaganda, but that's just based off of personal opinion. So that's what I think about it. So that's China. Another one I wanted to talk about was, there was a blood farm in India. So in India, they were offering quite a pretty penny for people to come and donate blood, and just like we do here, you get for you to have your blood cleaned out of all its plasma and put back into your body. It's actually pretty fucking horrifying, but people do it for money here.
Mm-hmm.
Except people were showing up, and this was happening just at like someone's house, and they ended up raiding this house, and they found people that were kept in cages. So the people would show up to sell their blood. They would be willing participants going, hey, yeah, take my blood. And then when they drain almost all of the blood out of their body and they're super weak, at that point, whoever was running the operation would detain those people and then keep them in cages and then continue to drain blood from them. And this had gone on. Some of the victims had been there about 2.5 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Having their blood continuously drained to almost the last drop, just have it. They didn't want to kill them because they wanted the blood. But yeah, it was called the India Blood Farm. Really fucked up.
Oh my God.
Really fucked up. Pakistan also had another similar operation where a home was raided and they had found 24 people in cages. Their operation was more so kidneys. So they would they would kidnap people, and then they would keep them until they had a buyer. And then they would, 24 people is what they found alive. No word on how many victims there were in total, but they would keep them until they found a buyer, and then take out the kidney, and then release those people, or, maybe they'd die in surgery, or, whatever during their. It seems like when they have situations like this where they're keeping people hostage, they at minimum try to wait for the recovery, and then at maximum they just kill them and take everything else. Again, the heart, the lungs, the corneas, pancreas now is a big one. So yeah. um, so this is a very real thing that is actively happening. Um, we know that people are being kept and harvested to a degree. We don't really know what the extent is, because most of these people are willing participants, or
They
they,
start off at them at least, and something goes
right,
sideways.
right, willing, yeah. And I mean, you're talking about people that are criminals, that are fucking removing your organs from your body illegally.
Right.
They're not ethical.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's it's on the ground level, obviously it's a very criminal enterprise, but then for for the organs to be used, you need to bring in medical professionals.
Exactly.
You need to bring in people that are not your average run of the mill kidnapper or
Right.
thug that's gonna kind of have a bunch of fucking prisoners in a basement somewhere and shit. Like this stuff ends up in the hands of doctors, medical
Hmm.
professionals, and then they continue with the illegal activity from there. I have a couple stories that I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to talk
Please.
about real quick. Um, one of them has to do with you talk about people willingly doing it, and it checks that box, and it takes place in China, where a woman noticed that her son, and I'm not going to butcher the Chinese names, but it gives it, and this was in April 2011, had somehow acquired a brand new iPhone and iPad. When she confronted him about how he could afford the expensive products, he confessed that he had paid for them with the money he received for selling a kidney. Understandably upset by her son's actions, the woman contacted the police. It turns out that her son had met someone online who promised to pay him $20,000 for his kidney, and the two met in a nearby city. An operation was performed in a local hospital, but not by the facility's staff. The hospital had said that a private businessman had rented out the area, and the police were ultimately unable to locate the man in question.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's really interesting that, they're even taking place at hospitals. You can rent out a wing of a hospital and
Now, how the fuck did she not realize that her kid? I mean, wouldn't you know that your kid just had their kidney removed?
right, or the kid's gone for or whatever.
Even if he came home that day, I mean, he'd be in. You ever had kidney pain? It sucks.
Yeah. Here's another one I wanted to rattle off real quick. I got more, but we'll just do two and
Sure.
then I'll pass the mic back to you. Um This is in January of 2003 in Italy. Undercover police were working to gather information on drug trafficking when they received an incredibly disturbing offer. When speaking with three Ukrainian women, one of whom was a pregnant prostitute, they asked if they were interested in acquiring her 5-month parcel. The undercover officers weren't given a chance to simply buy the unborn child, they had to bid on it because there was multiple buyers.
Wow.
Apparently, several others came and tried to buy the child for its organs, particularly the heart and liver. Sadly, this implies that these were the parents of children that needed an urgent transplant. The price went all the way to 350,000 euros, which the bid was placed by the police. The baby was born on May 9th and handed to the undercover officers, at which point the women were arrested and the other bidders were investigated as well. Police believe the women had possibly sold other children the same way in the past, which is something that we talked about. So we had the whole Spotify rap thing happen this week, and one of our show's top most played episodes was the Peter Scully Red Room snuff film episode.
Hmm.
And I went back and listened to it just because I was like, let's see what people are hearing when they listen to this episode. Which the whole first 30 minutes is me rambling about the Nephilim
Oh
because I
God.
had just read that fucking book. Which, like, I was like, Jesus, this is what all these people have heard. I know, right? But I mean, I guess we're still fucking here, so whatever. This is before we got sponsored, but it's the whole human trafficking thing that humans. I think it's been pretty well established that for multiple reasons, human beings are seen as commodities, and that they can be bought and sold in traffic just like drugs or guns or automobiles or literally anything else. Bootleg Avengers movies, you know what I mean? Human life to some people is very, very cheap. And the fact that there is a person, a soul who was born into this world, and this is their world experience just to exist, briefly to be trafficked or to be raised in a situation where they're abused for other people. Like, it's incredibly disturbing and dark to think about, but it's also 100% real. That is definitely the world we live in to some extent. I don't know how widespread this is, and this really just sounds like with the organ trafficking. It sounds like just different criminal rings. It doesn't sound like there's one massive
Agreed.
kidney
Yes.
Illuminati.
I agree with that across the board on all human trafficking, all forms of human trafficking. I agree that I I I disdain the idea of one big giant ring that's all interconnected together. No, absolutely not. That'd be too easy to take down. The reason why it's not easy to take down is because it's operating on small operations and secular groups over and over and over again, but it is happening. I agree with that. Um, I read that story also that you're talking about, and and I was there when we recorded that episode for the snuff films and stuff. So, um, but that story in particular is interesting because we how many children are being born just for their organs? How often is that happening? I don't. Are you? Did you leave?
Did you want me to answer that? How the fuck do I know?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
Okay, I
know.
wanted you to say something about it. Well, that's what I'm saying, right?
Oh,
So, I
my
mean,
2 cents is just think about it like this, kids. Not all weed dealers know each other.
no,
Right?
right,
Lots of people in this world sell weed,
right.
and they don't all know each other. There's no weed dealer union like in Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. That was a fucking movie. It's just different people in different parts of the world decided, you know what, I'm going to sell dope. Same thing with kidneys. Same thing with fucking,
Kids, same thing
yeah,
with women, same thing,
unfortunately. Yeah.
same thing with workers. The like slave labor is just something that fucking nobody talks about at all. People are trafficked just to work, and like people don't realize that. It's not talked about. But yeah, I mean that woman, she probably has popped out a couple of kids, probably has, and sold them. And you know how valuable children organs probably are? Way more than regular people organs. I can guarantee you that. God, that's probably the grossest thing I've ever said on the show. Ever.
Well, one of the things that I bring up in the Peter Scully episode was that, watch. I don't watch snuff porn. I don't watch, pedophile shit. I'm not into that at all. But I just from navigating, X Hamster or any of the websites, X videos, whatever. You see amateur porn with pregnant women all the time. And what are the chances that that baby and that woman is going to grow up and live a normal life? Pretty
Oh,
fucking slim. You know what I mean? If the mother is shooting porn 9 months, shooting fetish porn 9 months pregnant, somehow that's legal. Somehow that's not on the dark web. That's on any porn tube website that you go to get your free porn. There is a section with pregnant performers. Okay? What are the chances that those kids grow up in normal life? Probably pretty fucking slim. Okay? That doesn't mean they're all being trafficked, but I mean,
I can't say.
I
I
don't
had
know.
lots of sex when I was that pregnant.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I mean, I've pregnant women before. Of course I have. But
but
like,
I see what you're saying because we
yeah,
can't. say that, just because you see a pregnant woman, like, yeah, sure, that could be her husband that she regularly makes porn with, or it's not, right? Or it's not. And whatever the case is there. I mean, that's just in general, human trafficking in general. Like, somebody, I got into a debate with somebody about OnlyFans the other day, and they're like, well, just go to Pornhub. Pornhub has tons of fucking child porn on it, believe it or not. It does. And has been called out and caught for that shit constantly. A lot of those porn sites do. And there have actually been, I've called out this organization before, Thorn. Thorn is a great organization for child sex trafficking specifically. A lot of the victims that they have actually recovered and found, they found through websites like that on porn videos. They're trafficked teenagers most of the time.
Get
Those
out of
very
here.
legal videos. Oh no, for real. This is really legit. Like, that's a thing. They're finding them there. They're popping up there, and then Pornhub can't. They're like, well, we can't do anything about it because I don't think they offer anymore. But like, just anybody can upload their videos, right? And a lot of these sites is like that. So not only are they prostituting these children out, but then they're also making videos of it, selling it on the internet, and then Pornhub doesn't have any type of identifiers like, or like OnlyFans. You do have to prove who you are. So anyway, that's kind of a different topic for a different day. But yeah, that's legit. Like, that's a thing. Google it. It's a thing.
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, Thorn mostly finds these people through those types of websites. It's crazy. But it happens. So anyway, yeah, children probably are being born for their organs, because it's a lot harder to kidnap a child and harvest their organs and go undetected. Whereas it's a lot easier to kidnap a prostitute and have them get pregnant over and over and over again and continue to take those babies that they don't want anyway and take the organs from. It's fucked up. It's really sick. And there is no definitive proof except for, I mean, like Pato said, that's the only thing that I could find was that particular case. Um, but we just don't really know. It depends on how good these people are at their job. So I mean,
Yeah.
how do you advertise these auctions to people? But then when you're talking, you got people like doctors that are fucking in on it, and they are in on it. Um, then how deep does it go? Pat, you brought up the organ donor rumor. Like, don't like put it on your license because the doctors could, I could see that happening. Doctors are just people that went to a lot of school.
I mean, I know plenty of nurses that do Botox parties or
Right.
do vitamin IVs or kind
Sure.
of do their own little. My niece is she waxes people and stuff and does like eyebrows and shit. Like, if you teach anybody to do anything, any anybody that's got even a remote develops a like even remotely useful skill will inevitably turn around and figure out how to make money doing it for themselves on the side,
Right.
right? If you're a hairdresser and you work at hair cuttery, right? You're also cutting hair in your kitchen on the fucking weekends, right? If you're, somebody that does Botox injections at a doctor's office, you're buying this stuff and doing it yourself on the side. If you're an electrician that knows how to do electrical shit, you're running a side business, installing track lightings in your friends' fucking garages and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody kind of outsources themselves on the side. So the idea that there wouldn't be doctors doing this, I mean, we know they are because that's how the trafficked organs are
Right.
fucking implanted. Yeah, I think that it's, from what I saw with the dialysis when I was on dialysis, if somebody there who's around these people and you kind of figure out who's got money and who doesn't and who's desperate and who's not, they get to know you pretty well. And if they knew somebody, that would be a pipeline to customers,
Right.
like, hey, you're waiting on an organ transplant. What if I told you that I might be able to help you out?
Some
And
guy standing around the back alley of the fucking dialysis center.
who know? I mean, it would probably it would probably be very legitimate
Yeah.
top down. I think that the people that are buying these organs don't necessarily know where they're coming from, and they probably don't want to know. I think that is the line of demarcation where it goes from being a seemingly very white collar, you know, on the up and up operation to like, no, we just kidnapped some girl off fucking Craigslist and we took her kidney, and that's how you're getting it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think those people in the dialysis clinic that are being talent scouted as a potential customer base, who knows, they probably don't know the other side of it,
Right.
you know,
I agree.
and
I
don't want
agree.
to know. Yeah.
I don't think I would want to know, That's and if I had the means, I would do it. Fuck, I'll admit that. I'm the first person to say it. Um, yeah, no, I mean, it is there's obviously a clientele for it. It is happening. Like it's not a question of whether it is or isn't. And again, there's willing participants that are more than happy to give up their organs for a quick buck. You know, fortunately, we live in America. We don't have to understand that struggle. Some of us probably never really will really understand what that's like to be that desperate to sell your fucking organs. I mean, but we kind of do it on a smaller scale. Again, like I said, you can go down to the plasma center right now and go make $150. You can. You really can. And it's not pretty, it's not fun, but you're going to walk out of there $150 richer than you were. And people do it every single day. Some people do it so much that they have blown out veins and shit from going and doing it.
Oh
They
my
can't come
god.
back. Yeah. I mean, they do it constantly, So,
You want to talk about human trafficking? Like, okay, there's probably, we're talking about these really dark stories about women that get pregnant, with these babies that are then
other babies,
harvested for their
sure.
organs, and they're
I
selling the
mean,
kid
yeah,
for
okay,
$15,000. Those
sure.
are the chicks that are thinking small. Think about how many chicks that got pregnant because they're gonna milk a dude fucking dry over the next 18 years.
Right.
All right. There's
Oh,
plenty of kids that are born just so that
yeah.
just so that a chick can have some kind of form of financial stability for the next 18 years. They don't necessarily selling them for 10 grand is like almost, it's like you're not letting the investment mature. Um, so I don't know. It's thinking small. It's thinking small.
It's like
All the chicks I know played the
what?
long con with it. I'm gonna hold on to this kid because I'll keep getting child support. You know, she could have
Stop.
sold that kid right away and gotten 10 grand, and then she would have got 10 grand all at once. But then what? And then you got to have another one. Fuck that. You go get pregnant once, go through it once, and then just needle the motherfucker. You know, that's the way
For
I
the
look
next
at it.
18 years.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking welcome to my life. I got.
Yes, if you're going if you're going to profit off of another human being, at least have the decency to raise that human being. I agree. Uh,
You could take out credit cards in their names and shit. We could do a whole Patreon episode of that fucking scam because
oh
I've
my
seen that
god,
shit fucking firsthand.
I have too, and it's really terrible. That's fucking horrible. That people do that shit. It's fucking
Credit
awful.
cards in your kid's name, whatever.
Fucking put your utility bills, your fucking cable. Oh yeah, I know that struggle. I grew up in Springfield, Ohio. Y'all don't know.
Oh man,
Every single person that turns 18, they get a whole thousands in credit card debt.
what? When did I have Comcast? I don't remember this.
And ATT and Verizon and Sprint.
I'm sure half the people you call
Exactly.
looking to talk to are like fucking 9-year-olds.
Yeah.
You always bitch about the old people. But no, she's at school right now. What do you want? What is she in
I
college?
did get someone like
Nah,
that
ninth
before.
grade.
That's what they said. They're like, oh, it's in my son's name. I'm like, can I talk to your son? No, he's at work. Probably.
Yeah,
He's
right.
he's probably 4.
He's got a lemonade stand on the corner. Trying to
Right.
sell lemonade
I
to
mean,
pay
that
this car
stuff
note.
absolutely does happen. It does. People do that shit, and that's horrible. Don't fucking do that to your kids, man. Don't do that to your
But
kids.
I think that's, we were sitting here laughing at it, but like there's so many different ways that people exploit children or that people exploit each other.
And that's
Like
what
this,
trafficking is. It's exploitation.
that's the thing is that like look, it's real hard to get moralistic about some of this stuff, right? I think there's some pretty clear lines. Like if your actions result in another person's death, you took it too far.
You done
But
fucked up,
if
right?
you fuck up your kid's credit score,
Don't
you know,
recover.
they'll be all
You did
right.
between the ages of 20 and 27, so
You know what I mean? How many people like I had this kid just so I didn't have to work because I knew that their dad wouldn't leave me after I had this fucking kid, or I at least could 30% of his. I mean, I don't know. I'm just
People do that.
people.
Listen, as a single parent who gets absolutely fucking nothing for my one child, raising kids is goddamn hard. It is goddamn hard. And I just have one. I fucking pity you guys that have more than that. What's wrong with you? But I can't imagine anybody does that on purpose. But unless you're trying to get money out of it,
I chopped my
um,
nuts off to stop having more of them. That's how
I,
fucking
I
deadly
chopped my
serious I
nuts off
was.
too. Right. It sucks. Having kids is hard.
Yeah.
So again, does that happen? Yes. Is it the majority? No, it's not. But we all know that one bitch who said she was on birth control and she really wasn't. And she got that dude to get her pregnant. And now they're tied together forever.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. That does happen. There's a reason why there's a stigma behind it because it does happen. It's not the norm, but it does happen. So. And it is. It's the same thing. It's the same concept. It's just that you're not killing them and taking their organs.
Now,
Instead, you're taking their will to live.
do you think that there's any connection? Some people think that the reason that certain groups want to abolish abortion in this country, that it has to do with the more unwanted pregnancies that happen, the easier it is to traffic children.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
it's
give a
just
fuck about trafficked children. Are you
no,
serious?
no, no. I'm saying that some of these groups that want to outlaw abortion or that want to make abortions extremely hard for mothers to get, like potential mothers to get, that it's because they want to increase the by outlawing
Oh,
abortion, then you're increasing the number of unwanted children that are born, and that way, who knows what's the
I,
rationale there?
well, I don't think there's a correlation between the two. Personally, I don't think there's a correlation between the two. I just think that the people that want to outlaw abortion do it because they are mad that women enjoy sex. And maybe it's because they're not getting any. Maybe it's because they've been told their whole life that sex is bad. I don't know. And then I also think that they are trying to feel good about themselves. And so they feel like I think they genuinely believe that they're actually doing something good by not wanting abortion to happen. And I think that's the majority of it. Are there people that do it because it'd be easier to traffic kids? Maybe. But I think that would be a small, small, small percentage, as small as their penises
Yeah.
that aren't getting sucked. And that's why they're so mad. Yeah. It's jealousy. It's
Oh my
sad.
god.
Listen, we humans fucking run on jealousy and hatred and all that stuff. It's very sad, but it's very true. So then we make laws to even instill that hate. We can't have it, so let's make it so nobody can. Um, that's what I think. That's just my take on that. And yeah, I don't know though. I mean, Pat, what do you think? Do you think there's a correlation there?
I don't know. There's a I don't
I
want this
mean, you
show to
posed
turn
the
into something.
question.
I don't want this show to turn into something different. It's something that that's been kicking around in my head lately because I got invited to this
To an abortion party.
no, to this documentary screening. Some
Oh, okay.
documentary movie that's about child trafficking.
Okay.
And it's one of these things that, like, it's a very but it was a very political event, and it was very it was not thrown by members of the Democratic Party, let me put it like that. And I was just thinking about how there's so much, like, these people that their level of paranoia and fervor about the idea of child exploitation and kids being exposed to gay and lesbian theme. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing happened this weekend with the drag show and all the drag shit that's happening right now, where people are trying to, you know, shut down these drag brunches or anything where, like, someone a tranny reads to a kid at a library or something. And, like, it's just there. It almost seems like I know a lot of kinky motherfuckers, and I've seen the way that people talk about their shit, and some of the level of fucking agitation and like craziness that people have about these topics, you'd almost wonder if it was in a slightly different, like, situation, you'd be like, yo, you're a closet case, dude. You know what I mean? Like, when you have, like, some of these senators that, like, don't want gay marriage and are very adamant about, limiting homosexual rights, and then you find out that they were, blowing one of their interns who's a fucking kid from Oklahoma or something. You know what I mean? Or they get caught in an airport soliciting a blowjob in a fucking airport bathroom. and you're just like, what the fuck, you know? Um, I don't know. I feel I like I said, this isn't a fully formed thought, but
I mean, Patto, we did that whole episode on Heaven's Gate and found out that Heaven's Gate was strictly formed due to being ashamed of one's sexuality. So, I mean, it's not surprising that people do that shit to me. It's stupid and weird, especially in like 2022 where you can just like be fucking gay. Like you can just be gay now. Like you're allowed. Like it's fine.
yeah,
Like
I
you
don't
know.
get why that's, there was something I was busting Daniel Thorndyke's balls about it because he's in North Carolina. And yeah, like some right by an army base, they shot up a substation, electric substation, to kill the electricity to a whole entire town because they were having a drag show at one of the bars.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like, what the like? Why is this like? You
Why
telling me
is it?
that person doesn't jerk off to tranny porn? Get the fuck out of here. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I know this. I have a radar for this shit. You know,
That, that's
and
the first thing I think when shit like that happens. Yeah.
yeah, and then like these people that are like, oh, we have to protect the children. We got to protect the children. It's like you jerk off to barely legal porn, don't you, motherfucker? And you're afraid of your own impulses. And this is you trying to fucking stamp it out in everybody else because you don't want to acknowledge what exists in yourself or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there, but that's just the vibe I get when I see people get real adamant about some of this shit and real fucking preachy, and you're just like, well, I think you're fucking hiding something. I don't know.
What does it have to do with taking people's organs?
I don't know. I got one more anecdote. If you want me to read it real quick.
I do. Yeah.
In her 2009 autobiography, former Hague prisoner Carla de Ponte alleged that dozens of Serb prisoners were taken captive by the Kosovo Liberation Army, taken to a farmhouse dubbed the Yellow House to have their organs trafficked. She claimed that this occurred between June 1999 and May of 2000, just at the end and directly after the Kosovo War. 3 separate investigations were launched, and the European Union ultimately concluded that it had compelling evidence that at least 10 people had their organs trafficked from this location, but the activity was not as widespread as some had reported. Much of the evidence surrounding the claims have been destroyed. Top Kosovo government officials vehemently deny accusations. No one's been prosecuted. So once again, you have prisoners. It's like, hey, we got these 10 people here. What are we going to do with
Yeah.
them? We can just shoot them in the head. That's one thing. Or maybe we could rip out their kidneys and sell those for $15,000 a pop. You know,
Yeah.
it seems
Yeah.
that these are committed by opportunists.
Prisoners seem to be a very lucrative in organ trafficking. I hate to say that, but what are they going to do? And then what are they going to do? Come out and be like, well, they stole my kidney, and be like, who the fuck's going to believe you? You're a felon.
Oh, here's one more that I want to talk about because this one takes place in America. In July of 2009, 44 people were arrested in a major clampdown on corruption in New Jersey. These included 5 rabbis, 3 mayors, and a number of other politicians from the New York and New Jersey areas. Of these, the most prolific offender was Rabbi uh, Levi Rosenbaum, who had reportedly been engaged in organ trafficking for at least a decade. Despite the sale of human organs having been banned in the U.S. in 1984, that's right. Not until up until 1984, it was completely legal to sell human organs. Um, but in 2009, Rosenbaum was the first person to be convicted of this crime. So the first person in America convicted of organ trafficking, uh, Rabbi Levi Rosenbaum.
Wow.
Rosenbaum's modus operandi was to target vulnerable Israeli men and women. He would offer them $10,000 for their kidneys, which he would sell back in the U.S. for up to $160,000. That's quite a markup. Rosenbaum, who referred to himself as the Robin Hood of kidneys, pled guilty in 2011 and only served 2.5 years in prison for his crimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a nickname, the Robin Hood of kidneys.
Oh, he came up with it himself. I guess it's all right.
Oh,
It's alliteration. I know it's
he
not
just
Robin Hood of. Yeah, a man of the cloth too. Who would have thought?
man of the cloth. I would. I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
um, you know, wow, that's 2009. Jesus, and these stories have been around forever. These are your grandma's urban legends right here. These, or
and
probably
that
maybe not
was
your grandma's, but
15 years after human organs had been banned. Selling human organs had been banned in the United States with the passage of the National Organ Transplant Act. So they passed this law in 1984. It took them 15 years to actually convict someone of it or charge someone with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Organ trafficking is not a victimless crime. You know, it's like one of those things. You know what I mean? If you see someone stealing food at the grocery store, you didn't. I
Yeah.
agree with that. Fuck that. You see someone taking condoms, you didn't. You see someone taking somebody's liver, you should probably say something to somebody. you know, because that liver came from somebody. Kidneys are a little bit maybe of a different story because there could be people that were willing to give it, willing to sell it. Maybe you helped them out too, but you also don't know. Do you really want to know? Would that change your mind if you knew where it came from? Um, my thought is that people do this. People that accept these organs do it because they want to live so badly that's why they do it. So I mean, at that point, I don't know. Is that really living?
Well, I don't.
Would
I
your guilt
had,
eat you alive?
I don't know. I kind of faced death with my shit last year, and
Sure.
um,
It's not a good time. It
I
sucks.
but I never. You know what? If someone said, "Hey, you're gonna die from this," or "You got to kill somebody else," I don't think that would have ever been a choice that I made. And I like being alive. I have
Yeah.
a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I enjoy I drink fully from the cup of life.
nice.
I enjoy myself, Ashers, as I'm sure you do too
Good.
from time to time.
I do.
So it's
After, yeah, you do. After you
eh,
almost die.
so well no, I just mean like in general, like so
Sure.
I'm not somebody that's indifferent towards living to where I wouldn't want to live. Like no, I have children that I want to see grow up. I'd like to
Sure.
see my kids on their wedding day and all
You got
that shit.
goals,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at no point during any of my stuff last year, I think if I could have killed another human being to speed up my recovery or ensure my recovery, I don't think I would have ever done that, you know?
Yeah.
I
I,
think
I
with
mean,
the babies, it's one thing because it's parents being selfish. It's parents not wanting to lose
yeah,
a child, which I get.
I
But
could see that. Yeah.
the idea that I'm gonna like keep my kid alive by sacrificing some innocent baby that was
Somebody
born,
else's kid, right?
fuck that. Like I don't want to. I wouldn't be able to live with my. Every time I look at the kid, I'd be like, oh, I fucked your shit up. I'm sorry.
Right. You'd be haunted by that dead baby's spirit or whatever. Because I don't know, some people like if you get like a dead person's organ, then like maybe some people think that like you could have like
Yeah, they made a couple
visions
horror
or
movies about that. Yeah.
memories or whatever. Yeah, I mean that's a thing, right? Is it a thing? I don't even know if that's a legit thing. Actually, I'd love to talk to somebody that's had like dead man's corneas or something. Um, it's interesting. Right now the big topic in my world, in my health world, as a type 1 diabetic, is that people are getting pancreas transplants
Yeah.
and not being diabetic anymore. Um, and that's kind of a wild thing that we live in that kind of world, right? Where people could do that. I don't even know where the fuck are they get these pancreases from. I mean, I guess dead people. I
Yeah.
guess and I don't really. I mean, I'm not interested. Seems kind of cosmetic. Knowing what I know, like, so once you get a dead person's pancreas, it works. You could still become diabetic because it's your body attacks your pancreas and makes your pancreas not work anymore. So you could still end up a diabetic later on down the line. And then you also have to take these rejection medications for the rest of your life. So like, why not just fucking take the insulin instead? I mean, it's the same. So what? Now you got to take a pill 2 times a day instead of inject yourself. Like it ain't that big of a deal. Like, just like take
Yeah.
her, you know. Um,
And you know what? I just found out one of I follow this chick on Instagram. She was the lead singer and guitar player for the Bomb Pops, which was this punk band from California. And she's in a different band now called the Aqua Dolls. But her name's Polly. She's real cute. She's a diabetic, and it's a big part of like her. I don't know. Like she does promo videos for different
sure.
diabetic organizations and stuff, and uh, they had a song on their last album called "Double Arrows on the Down," which is some kind of reference to like a diabetes testing thing that
It
you do
is.
to see where
Yeah.
yeah. So she'll make posts about it and talk about it. And she was saying that if you're diabetic, you can go to any theme park or zoo and get a pass from the front desk that lets you automatically skip to the front of the line at any concession stand in case your blood sugar drops and you immediately need juice or something to eat. And
Yeah.
she said every public place or whatever has these, so make sure you get one when you go. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, that's a fucking it's almost worth having it. You know what I mean? Shit. Skip the lines at Disney? Fuck, that's awesome.
But yeah, yeah, it's kind of, some people get mad about that. They're like, because you can get like I can go to an amusement park and be like, hey, I'm disabled, I got diabetes, and they'll give me like a fast pass or whatever, and people
That's
get
awesome.
fucking pissed. And it's because, like, listen, in all seriousness, if I'm standing out around in the heat, my blood sugar is gonna fucking drop. It's gonna tank. So if I'm
Yeah.
standing in line for 45 minutes, I mean that could kill me. That's a problem,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But also, like, I fucking have to inject myself multiple times a day. So you can shut the fuck up. I'm gonna skip in front of this line and go first. Like, I deal with enough shit. I'm gonna take it because people are like, "Oh, you're taking away from other people." No, you're not. You don't fucking take it away from other people. How many other disabled people do you see standing in those lines? Not a bunch, right?
Hey,
You're
I
kidding
know
me.
me and you reap the benefits of this firsthand. I have that handicap parking spot there.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm gonna have that for the next 5 years. I ain't
Get
giving
me
that
done.
shit up. Now, like,
Right.
if I go to the store and there's like a non-handicap spot right next to the handicap spot, I mean, you want me to be honest? Like, I still take the handicap spot.
Oh my god.
I do it all the time, unless my family's with me, because then they scream at me not to, and they're like super embarrassed that I even use it. But I don't give a fuck.
Fuck it. I use
I've
that shit.
spent enough of my life walking around places and shit. You
I don't have a
know,
handicap thing, but like obviously, like you were deemed that you needed it for whatever reason. Doesn't matter what those reasons are. That's your
I
business.
got it for 5 years. There's no way they're gonna renew it, and at the end of the 5 years. But I got it for 5 years, so I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of it for these next five
At the
years.
end of the 5 years, you should be like, listen, if you take this away from me, it's going to make me so severely depressed. That's going to affect my life.
That's awesome at the fucking movies and the grocery store. Even if you just use it for those two applications.
Well, even
Yeah.
like going to Disney or the zoo. Fuck yeah, dude. Take the fucking handicap. Not that there is much handicap parking in those places, but if you can get it.
Yeah. No, when we went to go see New Kids on the Block at the United Center, we parked like fucking right on top of it. We were like, we walked right out. We were right there.
That's awesome. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's the shit right there. And I don't blame you one bit for using it. Right. When you have certain disabilities, you do have certain perks with it, and fuck it, use that shit. Like I said, life's hard enough, man. Why would you make it harder? Why would you make
Right.
it harder on yourself when you could just take away those little tiny stressors? Like, hell yeah, I'm gonna get my fucking fast pass or whatever. I think at like Disney, it's a little bit different. At Disney, it's like what it is like they'll save your spot in line so that way you don't actually physically have to stand there. And like when it's your turn, like they'll give you a time to come back to the ride when it's your turn.
Yeah.
So it's not
I,
like you get to go ahead of anybody.
I'm just saying, you can, living with disabilities ain't the end of the world. And if it's the choice between either you live with a disability or some fucking prisoner of war in Kosovo gets their fucking eyes gouged out, like,
Right.
man up. What
Yeah.
the fuck?
You can manage, right? Some of it is now. Some of it is a little is a lot harder, right? Some of it does really affect your life expectancy and your quality of life and things like that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't ever get a pancreas transplant. It's just too. Why would I? Right? It's not that big of a deal. But other people maybe they feel that they have to. That's not up to me. But doing like this organ thing, this organ trafficking, if you were to go about it that way, I mean, it's kind of the same scenario, Pat, as going, you're in a room with somebody that you don't fucking know, right? And
Hmm.
then there's another fucking guy and he's got a gun and he's going, okay, here's your choice. I'm either going to shoot you in the head or I'm going to shoot him in the head. At that point, could you be like, okay, well, yeah, take me out, I guess. I mean, could you decide? Could you make that decision? You
Well,
know,
if you're given, I don't know, I'd say, here, give me the gun so I can shoot the person. And when they give me the gun, I'd shoot them. That's what I would do. I'd fucking
well,
pull
they're
one
not going to give
over.
you the gun. They're let you choose.
I'd wrestle it away from them. I use my karate powers. Um, I
That's
don't.
true.
Here's the thing. I'm very conscious of quality of life,
Sure.
And I think that some people go to such great lengths to survive that they don't think about the mental state they'll leave themselves in and what the quality of life is going to be after the fact. So if I have to do something that destroys an innocent person to stay alive, maybe I shouldn't stay alive. You know what I mean? If this is what we have, you ever see Cabin in the Woods? You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Where they got to keep sacrificing those kids every year in the horror movies so that the fucking
For the
world
greater
gets.
good.
And then you're like, well, maybe fuck it. You know what I mean? Like maybe we shouldn't do this shit anymore. Maybe it's over. And I think people get so desperate to cling on to like, self
Right.
preservation is such like this like animal instinct that you have, and I get it, but I think
Right.
if you're smarter and you're higher evolved, you realize that like, look, there's no reason. It's something that you brought up on your social media posts about how how people with religious backgrounds sometimes
Hmm.
have negative projections of the afterlife,
Hmm.
and they worry more about hell, and they report seeing hell. Where you have people that are
Don't have
basically
that. Yeah.
atheist. Well, because I think that one thing that we do bring with us when we die is kind of like we're at peace with our souls, like where we're at. You know what I mean? And if you're somebody that's in turmoil and you have a religious background, you could kind of project yourself into this nightmare, right? Whereas if you're like not like that and you're a normal person, you're cool, or you're like, you know what, I go off, but as I go off into this next great adventure, at least I harmed as few people as possible, then maybe you'll land somewhere decent, or you'll on the wheel of reincarnation, you'll come back as a fucking eagle. I don't know, but
That'd be cool.
it would be, wouldn't
That'd be freaking sweet.
it?
Did you lose your train of thought?
Did I ever have one? I don't know.
That's okay.
We're reaching the hour 20 mark is when Pat starts rambling. You know,
That's Pat turns into a pumpkin around the hour 20 mark. It's
Pat's
over.
he's got the sundowners.
Oh,
Remember, he's
I
got a
know.
good 10 years on you.
You're out of spoons. That's how it is. You need some spoons.
Fuck you, your
Um,
fucking spoons.
anyway, yeah, it's interesting. Now, if you were like you needed a kidney and like your best friend was like, "I'll give you my kidney," like,
Do
would
they
you
stay
take
alive?
that
Do
shit?
they stay alive?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Whatever.
right.
Thanks.
That's a gift.
Yeah. Thank you. And
That's one
we're
thing
and,
that I've learned.
and we're both alive. Yeah.
Always accept a gift. I have a hard time accept. I'm like, no, I can't. I can't take that. But I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to just be like, you know what? Thank you. Because people, when I give somebody something, I'm not like expecting them to be like, oh, I don't want that. Don't give that to me. You know?
Yeah.
So if your best friend gives you their kidney, um, take it, because they, I'm sure would be lost without you. And I think maybe that's why they would give it to you. I don't know. Anyway, in that scenario, I think it's appropriate. Then you could find some underground organ trafficker, to perform the surgery, and if it's
Sure.
ethically sourced organs, hey, go for it. That's just, or someone that close to you dies, and you know, then they like leave you their. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna like leave my body parts to specific people,
Which
and
one?
like,
What do I get?
well, you'll probably die before me, but um, if you don't, I'll have to think of something good. I guess my heart. I mean, that's what you need, right? So that's what I
No,
would lean.
no, fuck you.
I'd be like,
Although I will say this, that's right. They if I didn't recover, I didn't know that this never occurred to me. But I remember one of the things that they had said to me was that if I didn't recover, that I would have to get a heart transplant.
right,
And
right.
then yeah, I guess that could have happened to me, and what would I have gone through with it? I guess I would have, but and if see,
Well, sure. What's the option? But would you have done it illegally? That's the question. Probably not. But
I mean, the only
you
way
know,
I would have taken it from like a dead person is if like him and I had to fight, and like whoever wins, like
it's the heart.
if I beat him with my bare hands, then I could take his heart. Whereas if he beat me with his bare hands, then he got his freedom.
But he's already got an advantage on you because he's got a good running heart and you don't.
Right, but that just That's just how bad do I want
then
it?
you're really worthy.
Right, exactly. That he doesn't deserve it.
That's
And we were like all oiled up like Eastern Promises, like in a fucking Turkish bathhouse.
you could no, you could hold it in Jim Jam's otter pen. He'd
There
love
you
that.
go.
He'd love that.
While
He
Jim
would.
Jam and Big Ball Johnny eat fucking Doritos, Cool Ranch
Yeah.
Doritos, and drink Melon Mountain Dew and give the reviews on
Jim
it.
Jam would fucking make a belt for it. He'd make a championship belt for the heart. You know he would.
He'd throw me the chair. I know him. He'd throw me the fucking chair
He
and I'd
would.
crack over that motherfucker's head. Fucking the salt pellets. He'd be my manager, like my Mr. Fuji, you know? Call him Texas Ray.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, let's make people fight to the death for the
The orchids.
orchids.
Real men. Shit.
Or we could just fucking hurry the fuck up. And, think about that, Pato. This won't be an issue once we have artificial organs, and we're going to. I mean, we can already like clone organs and shit. See, we need to be able to do cloning and stuff more. That needs to happen because then organ trafficking wouldn't be big business anymore.
This is true.
Just like I've always said in the ivory trade, it's one of the worst things ever. People fucking poaching these elephants and ripping their fucking tusks out. You don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to rip out and kill an elephant to take their tusks. We could ethically farm it. And then it wouldn't stop poachers completely, but it wouldn't be in such high demand anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants to listen to me because I'm just some bitch with a podcast. So I don't know. But yeah, we have to use these things. We have to use what we have, but to use our tools and, to combat these issues. As long as people need organs, and the only way for them to get them is from another person, then organ trafficking is going to be a problem. That's just the way it is.
Right.
It's just the way it is. Our best course of action is to fund medical science so that way we don't have to do that anymore. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But any final touches on your organ trafficking?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, this was a fun episode. This was I enjoyed doing the research for this. Hopefully it was weird enough for you. But yeah, we'll be back here next Wednesday.